Hey everybody, welcome to today's show. Welcome to Disabled Reality. I'm your host, Anthony Lorito-Duke, and we have a great topic for today's show in which it is you can't win every battle. Time to move on. Time to create peace and unity. Okay? And a perfect example um, of the first part, that you can't win every battle, is uh, the second impeachment on Trump. Yeah, he got acquitted. I mean, that was to be expected simply because of the fact that, as I said in prior episodes, the total number of votes to convict him, the total number of votes in the Senate that you need to convict him was 67. You got all 50 Democrats said yes to convicting him. You got seven Republicans um, out of the 17 that was needed. Okay, which meant that there was still 10 other Republicans that would have been needed uh to agree to convict him. But guess what? In no way, shape, or form were they going to say were those other 10 Republicans going to say yes to that. So it was the inevitable. It was to be expected. Okay. Now, um, yes, is it sad? Yeah, it's sad, of course. But you know what? It's time to move on now. It's time to just accept the loss. Time to stay focused on other important issues at hand, like dealing with the COVID vaccines and the distributions, dealing with the stimulus checks so we can get the economy back going up and running again. Time to face the other important issues like the climate change and so many other things. So let's stay focused now. And it's also a time to create peace. We need peace right now. Too much chaos has been going on. And it's time to create peace, especially for the next generation, for the little kids that are looking up to the adults and say, and watching what the adults are doing. The little kids are watching. That's the next generation. How do you want your kids to be able to grow up? What type of society do you want to leave for them? And so these are the things that are really important. So we need to face these things now. All right. It's like when a child is learning to ride a bicycle for the first time, and when the child falls down, the child cries, right? And sometimes the parents go to run to the child and hold them and whatever, and that's understandable. But then again, if you teach a child to stop crying, right? Teach them discipline and teach them how to pick themselves up in life, brush themselves off, get back on the bicycle and move on. That's the right way of doing things. Running to them every time that they fall down and cry or whatever, it's not really helpful. It's not teaching them to pick themselves up. So now is the time that we have to just brush ourselves off and say, okay, time to move on and take care of the important issues. Now, there are talks about the fact that um, there's a possibility of uh, criminal charges being brought up against Trump, in which it would be the United States versus the citizen, which would be Trump, you know, for what happened at the United States Capitol. And so, in other words, that would e- end up possibly going to uh, a court in which um, there would be a trial at a court, meaning not in Congress or whatever, but at a actual court, a federal charges, I guess, in which it would be the United States. versus the citizen, which would be Trump, and brought up on criminal charges. Now, that's a possibility, you know, and but there's nothing in concrete yet. It's an idea that's floating around. It's a possibility. So we got to wait and see what happens. But it's a matter of we need to move on. We need to have Congress tackle the important issues that are at hand. We need to have peace created now. Okay? And it's enough with the nonsense of um, taking offense at everything as well, you know. And in other words, like uh, if you're watching a comedy show, right? If some people get offended, you can't say, "Oh, I'm going to sue because I found that offensive." Listen, at any comedy show, uh there's no filter. Anything goes. It's a comedy show. That's what happens. If you're going to take offense at everything, don't go to a comedy show. All right. And just as I grew up, we were taught that if you don't like what you're seeing, then don't look at it. Move on. If you don't like what you're listening to, then don't listen to it. Move on. To say I'm going to sue for every single solitary tiny little thing, you know, it's not right. It really isn't. And it's really got to stop. It really does. And um, like another example um, is when when people were trying to have some iconic shows to be taken away because there was something on it it didn't like looking at, right? Again, it goes back to what I said. If you don't like what you're looking at, then don't look at it. Don't watch the damn thing. Go watch something else. And to say that, oh, I found that offensive. Listen, then don't watch it. Don't listen to it. Move on. Go on to something else that's more to your taste, that's more to your liking. But to say to get rid of this, to get rid of that, to get rid of this, there are some iconic shows that people want banned forever just because they didn't like what they were seeing or whatever. And really, that's if you're doing that to certain iconic shows, and then that can actually backfire too because of the simple fact that let's just say uh if you didn't like an icon, if you like a certain iconic show, but that someone else didn't like, because maybe they found the show that you liked offensive, then they can say, well, you know what? Since they did that to me, I can do this back at them. And it's going to be a never ending cycle. We need to stop it. Then. If you don't like what you're watching, don't watch it. Move on. If you don't like what you're listening to, don't listen to it. Move on. Keep moving. Seriously, honestly, the nonsense has to stop. Seriously, we need the healing part now. We need to unite again. And the only way that that's going to happen is if the peace is created and people um, just discipline themselves and learn how to we got to move on. Stop all this nonsense. Stop destroying, um, buildings like with graffiti because you're angry, you didn't like what happened. Stop it. Really. Um, People going into graveyards and breaking down tombstones. Stop the damn nonsense. Stop it. Really. So let's just focus on, bringing back the economy. But before that, we have to really focus on uh, the vaccine distributions. You know, Once we can get that and get people better, and then we can, start to build back the economy again, putting people back in school and back to work. So it's just the nonsense needs to stop. It really does. So, anyways, after I'm done hosting this show, I will host another episode of my show, African Information Highway, on YouTube. And I want to remind all my fans out there, don't forget to go to my website, which is African Information Highway. The link to there is awldny.com. And so with that, take care, everybody. Bye.